Utah, welcome. You know, Tuesdays are kind of important in election cycles, right? You have a really important Tuesday coming up. And I want to tell you about two Tuesdays. One was this past Tuesday. I was in Houston at Cruz headquarters. And my husband, Frank, is back home in Virginia. And we have the television on. He at home and me in Houston. And we're watching Hillary Clinton give a victory speech. And my husband texts me and he says, "I can't stand it anymore. I'm switching to the Big Bang Theory." See, I kind of feel that way when I watch Donald Trump. Except, of course, you can't change the channel with Donald Trump. He's on all the channels. You kind of have to turn the TV off because God forbid our kids hear what he has to say. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have so much in common, actually. Yeah. I mean, it's not just that both of them say that to pick the next Supreme Court justice, they're going to do a deal with Chuck Schumer and Harry Reid and pick a consensus candidate. They both say that. It's not just that they were for partial birth abortion before they decided maybe they weren't. It's not just that they both are for Obamacare. See, actually, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are two sides of the same coin. Yeah. Hillary Clinton has made her millions selling access and influence from the inside of the political system, and Donald Trump has made his billions buying people like Hillary Clinton off. They are the system, folks. Yeah. You're not going to change the system. They are the system. Yeah. Now let me tell you about a Tuesday a couple weeks ago. In Virginia, we had a primary. And I had to go vote. So I walked into the voting booth and I see the ballot. And I see my own name on the ballot. That's pretty cool, I gotta tell you. And I thought about all my supporters who worked so hard, and you know, my hand, I have to tell you the truth, my hand sort of paused over my name. But then I thought, no, there's so much at stake. And I thought about all the reasons I had run. We need a real constitutional conservative in the White House. We need someone who's going to challenge the system. And so I looked up and down that ballot and I checked the box for Ted Cruz, and that's what you have to do on Tuesday. Folks, you've seen other presidential candidates come out and endorse Donald Trump. Whoa. And you've kind of seen them hint at the deals that got done. Let me tell you something. I went into that ballot box and voted for Ted Cruz before I'd ever had the first meeting with him. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what's at stake. You know in your bones what's at stake, but it's worth talking about it. Let me tell you what's at stake. This is an exceptional nation. You know, it's not fashionable in some circles now to talk about the exceptional nature of this nation, but let me tell you something. I have traveled and lived and worked all over the world for decades. I've done business, I've done charity, I've done policy work, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that it is only in this nation that a young woman can start out the way I did, typing and filing for a 9-person real estate firm in the middle of a deep recession, go on one day to become the chief executive of what we turned into the largest technology company in the world and run for the presidency of the United States. That is only possible in this nation. what's at stake. Because today, record numbers of men are out of work. Record numbers of women are living in poverty. Record numbers of young people don't believe the American dream even exists for them anymore. And you know why all that is going on? Because the game is rigged, the system's fixed, and the American people have figured that out. 80% of the American people now know that our federal government is incompetent and corrupt. 80% of the American people have figured out that we have a professional political class, people who care more about their own power, their own position, and their own privilege than on getting any work done. It ain't working for us anymore, which brings us all the way back to Philadelphia. You know, I was a history and philosophy major in college. That's why I started out as a secretary. And so having studied history and philosophy, I can tell you that people kind of are the same all throughout the ages. Our founders wrote the Constitution because they believed two profound truths. First, they knew that each of us are gifted profoundly by God, that every individual life has potential. And they said that each of us and every life have inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What they meant by that was that each person should have the right to fulfill their potential, to find and use all their God-given gifts. And they said, and this was profound and unique, radical even at the time, those rights come from God and cannot be taken away by man or God. The Constitution as a document that enshrines our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, our right to bear arms. But the Constitution was written for another very important purpose. And that purpose was to constrain power. Because our founders understood that when too much power is collected and concentrated in the hands of too few, it is always abused. The Constitution is a document to constrain power, and that is why the powers of the federal government are enumerated, and those powers that are not enumerated specifically to the federal government belong to the individuals and to communities and to states. It is why we were intended to be a citizen government. You see, that is what is at stake. We have come so far from the Constitution, and that is why we have so much power, too much economic power, too much political power concentrated in the hands of too few. And Republicans and Democrats alike have presided over that system for far too long. That is the system that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will preserve, because it is a system they have benefited from all their lives. So, what do we need? What we need are fearless fighters on Capitol Hill and in the Oval Office. You have sent a fantastic senator to the Capitol in Mike Lee, and you must return him to the U.S. Senate. A fearless fighter against the system. Return him to the U.S. Senate so he can continue in that fight, and send Ted Cruz to the Oval Office to be a fearless fighter as well.